Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
Welcome to A Creator-Based Life. We're here. We are the weekly podcast for the CMH Coaching and the Creator-Based Way. And we are excited to be here with you this week. We're here to help women of faith create the lives they love, the lives they have always wanted. And I got to tell you, it is totally possible, regardless of what your circumstances are, regardless of what your past has been. You can create a life that you love. Let us show you how. I'm here today with Jacine Bonnet, who is a business coach, an avid runner, a grandma, a lover of life. She wakes up singing, y'all. And Jennifer DeRoos, who is a can grow almost anything gardener. She makes me say almost because she can't grow anything, she says, but I believe she can. And
I've killed a bunch. Let's put it that way.
Okay, well, then she's a hypnotherapist and she's really, really good at what she does. And I'm Beth, the creator of The Creator-Based Way and the owner of CMH Coaching and the author of the book, The Creator-Based Way, Create Your One Awesome, Amazing, Perfect, Incredible Life. Today is the week right before Thanksgiving. And of course, we have to talk about thanks and gratitude and the power of gratitude. And Jacine's leading us today. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're just going to turn over the time to Jacine and let her lead the way.
That's so cool because I love gratitude. It's such a powerful tool. And you guys check out your Monday morning inspiration if you haven't done so yet. Beth, I want to know, is that your dog holding the thank you card or is that something off of
I wish it were. My dog is a border collie, black and white, but isn't that the cutest dog ever?
Oh, cute.
The eyes. I was like, oh, yeah, he needs to be on the top of Monday morning inspiration.
It's just say thank you card, right? Oh my gosh.
He's just the sweetest little black. I think he's a black setter. He's just got beautiful eyes. And the chamomile tea is real chamomile tea, just saying.
Is that yours?
It is not my image. I'm just not that good with a camera, but it's real chamomile tea. You can see the chamomile blossoms floating on top. Yeah.
Is that, I didn't know those were
That's really what they look like. They're about this big, the blossoms, maybe not even a half an inch, and they look like teeny tiny sweet daisies.
So cute.
I've grown them in the garden and they're just the prettiest little flowers. So delicate.
Can I tell you, it's funny whenever I heard somebody say chamomile, that there's this kind of movement out there that a bunch of people on like TikTok and all those, they're calling it chamomile.
Chamomile.
Chamomile. Yeah. Just to be funny about it.
Okay.
Chamomile. I kind of love that.
What?
I know. So whenever I
Oh.
hear chamomile, I think of chamomile.
Well, I wrote about my chamomile tea and how I got that really violent stomach bug. It only lasted like 24 hours, but for the first 2 or 3 hours, it was violent, bad. And then the way that I came back was by tiny sips of chamomile tea. I learned that with my kids, that if you gave them too much to drink after they'd had a stomach bug, they'd throw it back up again. But if it was just like a teaspoon at a time, it would stay down. And so these little tiny chamomile sips all day long. And by the next day I could eat again. It was really beautiful. And I was all, but the power of a sip.
The power of a sip.
The power of a sip. Just a sip.
And sipping in gratitude, because sometimes when we see somebody who is bubbling over with gratitude, right? Sometimes we're just like, oh, too much, too soon. Yeah.
Not ready. Back off.
I can't handle all of that right now.
Too much energy.
Yeah. So the tiny sips, I just thought that was so inspired to
Just
share. Yeah. So
Just
guys, if you haven't signed up for the Monday Morning Inspiration, just go to cmh.com and sign up.
CMH Coaching.
CMH
CMHcoaching.com.
Coaching. Yeah.
And you can sign up for anything. It'll get you on the Monday Morning Inspiration list.
And
it's always something happy. We don't send out a weekly, you got to buy this email. We don't send out a weekly, you got to do this email. We send out something that will help your week be better starting on Monday. That's the whole goal behind it. So just join us, get inspired with us on Mondays.
So for those that haven't read it yet, explain the sipping.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So when my kids were little, and we had a friend who, when they wanted to share, we would ask, because we're all big families, and it was a joke at my house. I would always just drink out of Jacob's drink. I never had to have my own glass of water, because as long as Jacob had a glass of water, it was fine. And all big families, we just all shared each other's drinks. Well, this little guy, when you would ask him, hey, can I have a drink? He would say to you, a sip. Yeah. As in, don't drink all my drink. He just, a sip, and he'd warn you. And so you could have a drink, but you could only have a sip, and he would monitor you really closely. Just a sip.
Just a sip.
So I had the connection of the sip in healing my digestive system, just those little sips, because more than a little sip and you're coming back up again, right? And you don't want that. So little sips of chamomile allowed the chamomile to be absorbed and the water to be absorbed to rehydrate the system. Little sips of anything good for you, even little sips of anything not good for you at all, right? They absorb very quickly, just these little small pieces. And so the idea behind this next few days is, I have to go to the grocery store, and there's going to be 6,000 people in there, and none of them are going to be very happy, and they're really going to want to get things done. And so I might get run over, or they might be rude, or somebody might take my parking spot. I bet the whole thing, because when we get done here, that's what I'm doing.
Right. And I'm going to have to wait forever.
I'm going to have to wait, and my feet are going to hurt, and just all this stuff. Okay. So the idea to combat that was, because I am a tea drinker, as y'all know, for these few days, every time I take a sip, I'm going to have a little gratitude. So it's going to be my gratitude sip. So this morning when I got up early, oh my gosh, it was the best gratitude sip at 6 a.m. I got to tell you, it was so good. And then about 9 o'clock, it was a really sweet gratitude sip. And then after lunch, when I was irritated, it was a determined gratitude sip. And so I'm going to continue with these gratitude sips for the next few days, just in order to remember the reason for the season. It's about counting our blessings. We have so much and so much abundance, we don't need to forget about that. We need to continue in little sips.
I love that.
Yeah.
I started thinking about, actually, my husband and I were heading to a funeral on Friday, and we were listening to classic rock, like from the 70s. And the Byrds song came on, Turn, Turn, Turn. Do you guys remember that song?
You everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven.
Under heaven. Yeah.
I love that song.
It is.
That's an oldie, but a goodie.
It's an oldie. So if y'all haven't ever heard it, turn to it.
Listen.
Go
it is
listen
sweet.
to it. Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds.
Mhm.
And the message in there was just a reminder, especially I thought it was poignant as we were heading to a funeral of a classmate of my husband's, and just thinking about life in general, life specifically. And here are the words, guys, and you can look it up because it's Ecclesiastes.
It's in the Old Testament. Ecclesiastes in the Bible.
Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. So if you want it, but here, and the words follow it very similarly. So to everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. And I love that line, a time to every purpose under heaven. So whatever time we're in, there's a purpose for it.
In that time period. Ooh, I like that.
Right? Yeah.
There's a purpose in every time.
Every time. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, and a time to weep. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. A time of hate, a time of love, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time you may refrain from embracing. And to everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. So when we think about that, how can we apply gratitude to those different seasons? Because they're very 50-50, right?
That really helps me with my gratitude, is to do the 50-50 on everything. Whether it's 50-50 because this has been a great day, or it's 50-50 because this has been a rotten day. Just to be able to remember that it all came to pass. And whether it's great, I need to appreciate it because it's not going to stay, or it's awful, I can endure it because it's not going to stay. That 50-50 really helps me.
How do you find purpose?
I do believe I was born with purpose. How do you find purpose, Jen?
How do I find purpose? I think purpose finds me at times. So
like inspiration, purpose finds you?
Yeah, or even just like, there's just things that come into your life that you're well suited for, or you're doing, and so, there's always the opportunity to be of help or service to others. Even if it's just being, out crazy shopping at Costco, and you just let people go in front of you and smile.
And you smile. Isn't it amazing what a smile will do to a nasty checkout line? It's contagious.
Yeah, or even just people because it was a madhouse today, let me tell you, but it was to the point where it was actually even kind of comical. It was such a madhouse.
I've done that. I've actually done the challenge of how many people can I get to look at me and smile back. Yeah. When I'm waiting, and it was either Costco or Sam's, but it was a big box store that I was standing in line with.
So, I mean, just, I don't know. I think everybody just by being here has a purpose. You sometimes you don't feel like it is, or you don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be something big and huge, like you're going to go save the whales or whatever,
Right.
It's, you're here, you're in your whatever, your mess or your non-mess, whatever time it is, and you've got a purpose in that space.
Well, do you think you can choose your purpose?
I think so, but I think sometimes, it's also kind of, for at least me, it kind of unfolds for me at times, whether I'm paying attention to it or not.
Understanding your purpose makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I remember the Viktor Frankl when he said suffering ceases to be suffering when we understand the meaning behind it, which to me is purpose, right?
Right.
To
And
me, that's
so,
that turning, because as soon as you understand that maybe you're in a season of war, it's
mhm,
going to turn. It'll be a season of peace. Maybe you're in this season of love, and maybe
Mhm.
there will be times when there's not going to be as much love.
right, but it's going to
Right.
turn,
It's going
and
to
you
turn.
will make it to the beginning of the checkout line.
Yeah, you'll get through this. It's not. The other thing I had to learn was, like, I didn't understand that I had this all or nothing thinking, which is a cognitive distortion, where I
Mhm.
had one uncomfortable thing happen during that day, so I just said my whole day was crap.
Was shot. Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
everything's horrible. I'm like, no, not everything is horrible. That one instance was just uncomfortable.
Right.
That
That
moment in
moment.
time,
Just
and
that
how am I going
moment.
to choose to look at my whole day?
Yeah.
Mm,
So that
There
helps
you're back
me.
to purpose because you get to choose.
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agents.
Jen,
Yeah.
how do you recognize cognitive distortion? How do you catch that when it happens?
Well, first of all, when it was brought to my attention, I think there's either 10 or 13 known cognitive distortions. And when I started this journey, I think it was really like my husband just said, like, well, that's just stupid thinking. And I got, what? What? Doesn't everybody think this way? He's like, no, nobody
That's
thinks
just
that.
stupid thinking. Oh my gosh.
Nobody thinks that way, or like, that's just not right thinking. And I'm like, so when I started learning about cognitive distortions, like, yeah, that all or nothing, black and white, jumping to conclusions, thinking you know what somebody else is thinking. There's a lot of other these things, and I started like, oh gosh, I do these things, and it's what leads to my unsettledness. It's what leads to my unhappiness. It's what leads to my chaos.
Mm,
And
mm.
so I just, if I start feeling really emotional about something, that's when I'll be like, am I thinking correctly here? Or,
And a lot of times it's all or nothing for me when I
yeah,
really go big emotion wise. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or like that whatever happened to me is just gonna it's the end of the world,
Yeah.
Right.
it
Chicken
really,
little, the sky is falling, the
yeah,
sky is falling.
exactly those type of
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel like that is very similar. In fact, I just had that conversation with my mom last night with the all or nothing thinking, because she made a statement that I was just like, wow, tell me a little bit about that, Mom, because that
Tell
just,
me more. I
yeah,
love that. Tell me more.
that seems like it's pretty black and white. And I really think that there might be more there. And so it was one of those wonderful experiences that I had to have a conversation. And wouldn't that be great in our society today to be able to just have a conversation with someone about why they're thinking that way or why they said that, made that statement instead of, in the
Jumping
past,
on them.
I think I would have been all over this, like, you're you're stinking crazy. Why would you say something like that? Like, really?
Why would
Where
you say that?
yeah,
who have you been hanging out with? Like, that is the dumbest thing ever, right?
yeah. Stinking thinking.
Yeah, stinking thinking. And then just to offer her the opportunity to reimagine it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to reframe it,
Yeah.
to imagine it.
Reframe and reimagine so that you can recreate it.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
have to tell her how to do it. It was just walking her through those steps so that she could do it and say, "Oh, yeah, I guess there is a different way that I could do this." It was about working out in the gym.
Mhm.
So, she's been taking care of her husband who has been on dialysis for a year, and she's like, "Yeah, he gets up between 9 and 10, but sometimes he gets up a little earlier and I have to help him out of this. And so I can't go to the gym because once he's up, and it was on and on. And I just said, Mom, you're an early riser. Why don't you go to the gym before? Well, I can't. Oh, why can't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was because when she signed up at the gym, they said, um, our busiest hours are between 5 and 8 a.m. So
There'll be too many people there.
in her mind, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
she can't do that. So they told her it would be better for you to come mid-morning, right? And so that was an absolute in her mind. I can't do this.
Right.
And so just questioning, I said, well, gosh, Mom, how far away is the gym? Because I really didn't know. She said,
Right.
it's about a mile. And I said, so it takes you 3 minutes to drive there? Would that be accurate? And she's like, yeah. And I said, picture this. What if you get in your car and you get ready and you drive there and there are only 5 cars in the parking lot at 8 a.m.? What if?
What would that be like?
Yeah, would you go in? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what if the parking lot is full? How hard is it to turn around and go back home? She started laughing, right?
Or maybe you want to make laps in the parking lot so you still exercise.
Or maybe go in,
Or maybe
all
go in and there's an available machine.
are all of the machines absolutely 100% taken up? Like, right? But I think sometimes we have to, I'll just speak for myself. Oftentimes when I have that thinking, I need somebody, I'm not as good as Jen yet, to be able to
Yes.
that
Yes.
thinking.
Yes.
I
Jen is
need-
a master reframer.
Yeah, I need somebody else to say, hey, what if this is a possibility?
What
Yeah.
the thing?
What about
Yeah.
you guys? What about you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. I love that. I don't know. I do question myself a lot though when I'll get in that situation. And it's like that respond and then reimagine before you recreate. I love to imagine. And so reimagining is not hard for me because I don't count any of it as real. It's just playing with ideas. And so to let myself play with ideas as far-fetched as I want opens things up to be able to recreate. Like the idea of getting to the gym and going, oh, there's too many people here. I'm going to go get ice cream. I could let myself recreate many scenarios, and just recreating them or reimagining them breaks down the wall of me being willing to go do something. It like opens it up so that I can go do something. Sometimes just playing with it really makes a difference for me. Yeah.
I find a lot if I slip into that, it's because I'm either in judgment or I'm hurt or I'm in victim. So a lot of times it just,
oh yeah, and victim, I could see that.
yeah, I really get into that. So I have to just, those are my kind of my cues of when maybe this isn't the best stop that you're going down. Let's analyze.
Maybe try another path.
Let's be curious about this. Why am I saying this to myself, or why am I saying this about this situation? And a lot of times though, it'll come back, oh, that's my mother, or oh,
I know that voice.
Good.
Oh, that's oh my gosh.
I was conditioned this way. This is what was modeled to me. So, I can change this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as you recognize it, it's like the name it to tame it, right? You recognize the voice and then it diffuses the power in the voice to where you can change it. Yeah, like your mom they said to come mid-morning.
Yeah.
As soon as she recognized that, it kind of diffused for her. At least that's what it sounded like when you told the story.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'll call and check in on her tonight and see how that went. Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you said, once you can hear it, it makes all the difference as well, because early on after my grandmother died, my grandma suffered a lot she was in a lot of pain prior to her death. And so she became very kind of woe is me when you would talk to her, and
she was coming out of pain rather than coming out of herself. Yeah.
It was hard. And my mom was the caregiver for her. And so she took on that tone. And so she would leave. Back in the olden days, we had these things called
in the 1900s.
In the 1900s, we had these things.
Last century.
Machine. Yeah, where like the phone would ring and you could if you saw the number when you had caller ID, because back in the day that was a new thing too, you would know
could
who
opt
it
out.
was. And it got to the point where my kids would see it was grandma on the phone and not want to answer the phone. So it would go to the
Was
answering.
grumpy. Yeah.
And on the answering machine, she would leave this message. Well, I guess you guys are busy again. And it was just like this over and over again. And so I remember, I'm watching my kids be like, it's grandma, don't answer it.
Good.
Right. Don't. And so I thought, okay, if this were me, I would want somebody to tell me what I'm doing. So how do I say this to my mom, nicely without saying,
Yeah.
your grandkids really don't want to talk to you anymore? Because
Yeah, because you're kind of a downer.
yeah. And so I just had this thought that came up, and I remember I was talking to her on the phone. She's like, "You guys are so busy. Every time I call, nobody answers the phone." And
Oh dear.
I said, "Well, Mom, I saved a message for you that I want to play for you." I said, "Honestly, I heard it and I thought Ethel had been reincarnated and was speaking on
Wow.
this phone." I was like, "Whoa."
Talk
Because,
about modeling, right?
right, my mom would
Yeah.
complain about it. So I played it and she's like, oh my gosh. And she didn't know.
Yeah.
So how do we work with people? How can our listeners coach people who, instead of them like fingers on a chalkboard, how can our listeners help coach people who are maybe making them a little crazy, who are the Chicken Littles or are the Eeyores or the angry people? How?
The R's, teach the R's.
Okay, you
R's.
teach us.
Because we in Mastermind, we talk a lot about the 5 R's, but really the first R is the word respond. And so we're working with Chicken Little. When you respond, you want to respond out of love and security for Chicken Little. You want to respond with compassion and with kindness. The response is really important.
They
Yeah.
just want to be heard. They just want to be
Yeah.
validated.
Hey, I'm Chicken Little sometimes too, and I just want somebody to love me back.
So
You
I just
know?
say, yeah, that really did suck. That was rude.
Yeah.
Then you're like, yeah, it was. Or
Yeah,
something.
and when
But
you
that hurt.
respond in love and compassion long enough, pretty soon Chicken Little kind of chills. And
Mm.
just needs to get it out of her system. I mean, I don't know how many times I've called and said, just talk me off the ledge.
Exactly.
I just need to dump. Just let me get it out, because
Yeah.
once it's out of my system and I look at it, I can see it's irrational.
Yeah.
It just,
But I have to get that energy out.
Right.
yes,
Or
yes.
or an overreaction, right? Yeah, I've overreacted to this. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm,
My
yeah.
And then
husband and I have a funny.
that second R, the reimagine.
Mm.
When I want to be talked off the ledge, it's because most of the time, because of an overreaction, and 9 times out of 10, those who know me well that I will call will say, "Oh, so are you going to be dead under the bridge again?" I'm not dead under the bridge. I'm living under the bridge, and it's terrible. And they're like, "Yeah, okay." And so we'll start to reimagine. And for us, at least for me, it works to reimagine something ridiculous and then work my way back into what might be possible. Yeah. But the
I like to say,
reimagine so that you can recreate. Yeah.
I like to say when that happens is like, it just feels really true, doesn't it? Yes, it just feels true, but it's not
feels
true.
true.
Go ahead and
but it's
feel that it
not.
feels true, but recognize that it's not true. You're not living under a bridge. It just feels like you're going to live under a bridge.
Yeah, it just
Ooh,
feels
I'm
like
writing that down.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just
But
feels like it.
you
I
have to
had a really
validate
good
that
friend,
it feels true, but in reality, it's not true. It just feels true.
well, and one of my good friends, her key phrase was, "For right now, I have everything I need. For today, I have everything I need." And it reminds me of the phrase Jen uses when she sets me up for hypnotherapy, when we go down to that beautiful place where I get to recreate things I want. I am safe. I am calm. I choose to be here. And so when I bring myself into that space, it makes all the difference. I can step out of my crazies because I do crazy for nobody else. It's my husband, Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So like if somebody is with you and they're really coming apart at the seams, first is compassion, loving compassion, because they're a really important human being who deserves to be heard and loved.
What if they're a person that is a repeat offender? Like
Yeah, I get that. That's
over
where
and
boundaries come in too, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it is okay to have some boundaries and
It's essential to have boundaries. Yes.
Mhm.
You do not to be at grandma's beck and call every single time she needs to whine.
Right.
You
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a life and you are a very important person too.
Mhm.
But
I try and like
Set up a
redirect
support.
when that happens, like because I have some people that do that, and I try and redirect like distraction. I mean, Beth's laughing. It's not you, Beth. It's not
No,
Jason.
no, but I'm thinking eventually they stop calling me because they don't want to hear how good everything is.
Well,
They just
exactly.
want
It's
to
like
whine.
yeah. I don't try and tell them how things are good. I just try and like distract. Like, well, what about this? What about just have them start thinking and talking about something completely different. But if they keep circling back and circling back, I will then say, I gotta go, time just, and sometimes pretty abruptly, so they understand I'm not going to talk about this anymore, or we're not going to do this anymore.
We're finished on this topic.
Yeah, and then sometimes, I do have to put up the boundary of like, you've asked me, I've told you, I don't want to talk about this, and if you tell somebody you don't want to talk about something, they get really like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Because
it have to be that way.
we're coming up to Thanksgiving in a couple of days.
There are going to be lots of family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Family, friends. I mean, people that at our church, our bishop often has a gathering for Thanksgiving for people who
So
don't
you have
have
like a community dinner.
like a community
Oh, that's
dinner.
fun.
So yeah, so there are going to be people and lots of feelings, right?
We
Lots
get
of
to rub up
Lots of
against
feelings.
them, don't we? And we just get to learn to love them even better.
So I think, if we can learn how to take a sip of our chamomile tea.
Take a sip and
Yep.
turn. It's
Mhm.
it's a 50-50 thing. You may be sitting next to Debbie Downer, but it's only for a little bit. And can you extend grace and give her the support that she needs and then go home and have some fun?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And create that space for yourself because we get to choose in those moments to be happy or to be kind or whatever emotion, right? We get to choose that.
I studied with when I was doing the compassion training with Christopher Germer. He
Mm.
was talking at one point about this compassionate breathing that you can do. So I just had the thought, if I were sitting at the table with Debbie Downer and she was really crisising and having a hard time, what Christopher Germer was teaching was, as you're breathing, it was a breath for me and a breath for you. And he would send love on his breath to that person. And then he would take a breath for himself and then a breath for them. And so he could cultivate his personal compassion for himself, but he could also extend compassion for the other person in a difficult situation. And in that way, he made sure he was caring for himself with self-compassion, but he could also give some blessings to the other person with that distinct boundary in between the two breaths.
That's interesting. I've heard of synchronized breathing if you have like a child that's upset,
Oh, yes.
trying to calm them down, you have them breathe with you, like
Yes.
take a breath with me. So I wonder if that has something to do with that too. Like you synchronize
Maybe.
your breath.
I know with synchronized breathing when I was having my babies, because their natural childbirth, my babies were born at home. And so it was me and my husband, and he could not leave my nose. I don't care what else was happening in the room, but we synchronized. We were synchronized breathing all the way through. And that's what held me together all the way through the birth with the intensity of that. Yeah, but synchronized breathing really works,
Wow.
especially with littles. when you're nose to nose and you're synchronized, you're breathing together.
Well, I think they call it a phenomenon, but it's not. It's one of those truths that
I love truths.
Tony Robbins again teaches this. It's called matching and mirroring. He said, so say, you guys, if you're at a function this week, whatever it is, or in this Christmas season coming up, try this. You're sitting next to someone and they put their hand under their chin.
Oh, yes.
And then you put your hand under your chin. And then they maybe take it off and fold their arms, and you take it off and fold your arms. And then maybe they cross their right leg over their left leg, and you cross your right leg over your left leg. And you're doing this intentionally, right? So you're fully aware of what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, you make the first move.
Do something different.
And 100% of the time, the people will start to do your actions. So try it. It's 3
Do
actions.
you think it will work if you smile?
Yeah. Well,
Like you would get a smile back?
yes. Like if you smile. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe they're grumpy when you first starting, but that is a technique actually that I've taught when we're going in and we're giving someone some medical
Difficult news.
some difficult news with their health. And when you go in and you do that connection, you make that connection by mirroring what they're doing. And then automatically they're joined to you. So I wonder with the breath, if you start breathing like they are at first, if you can
You could slow it down.
slow it down without them cognitively knowing it, right?
Yeah.
And then as you're breathing for them, they're feeling that love, right? Reciprocated. So I think that would be really interesting.
Oh, I love that idea of mirroring too. That is a powerful technique.
Oh, it truly
It really
is.
creates intimacy between two people. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a real connection that's created.
Yeah, and it's just you can be in a crowded room and just with the person you're right next to. Try it. It's really powerful.
Kind of magic.
Yeah.
Interesting, because in my hypnotherapy course, it does teach about mirrored breathing. We are to breathe with them, and it shows about how take a nice deep letting go breath. You just do it with them, and your voice does it too. And then as you start to watch them breathe, you breathe with them. Mm-hmm. And you can actually, with your words, slow their breathing down. Wow. Have them relax more. Because, if you're giving them cues to take a breath in, take a breath out. But yeah, we're taught to mirror our breathing with them. Interesting.
It all fits, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all truth, all different facets of the same truth. It's the compassion and the love that connects us. And the mirroring. Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah. There we go, guys. That's it.
I love it. And then there's a gratitude sip. Just say it.
And there's a gratitude sip, yes.
Because y'all are fantastic.
Mm.
And we are grateful for you, for reals. Yeah. Are you guys doing book club this week, Jacine, with it being the holiday?
We are doing book club this week. It's the last discussion of the gratitude journal.
And so what have we learned in the gratitude diaries?
Oh gosh.
I'm behind.
It is possible to be grateful for anything. That's really what I'm learning. Like if I put it in a nutshell and you have somebody who has studied gratitude and practiced gratitude for a full year, who is writing, not only just studied it, but writing it down and practicing it on a daily, minute by minute, and she fails often. So she does.
Well, failing is important.
Right? A time to fail, a time to succeed, right? Yeah.
A time to learn, a time to grow, time to,
Yeah. We just learn to fail better. That's all life is we're just learning to fail better.
Yeah. And how to get up more quickly. Yeah.
More easily.
Yeah. Yeah, so that really is in a nutshell what it's about is, just you can literally find gratitude in any circumstance, in any situation in this life, if you choose.
Yeah.
You choose gratitude.
Even in your teenager's bedroom, you can walk into your teenager's bedroom and tell them how great their ceiling looks. Just say it.
Where's the ceiling screen?
Your ceiling is beautiful.
Your ceiling is so clean and ordered.
Yep. You can always find gratitude. Always.
Well, there are ways. Like, we had a talk at church yesterday, and the gentleman who was sharing talked about gratitude, and he and his wife lost their son this summer. He was 19 years old in a motorcycle.
That is hard.
That was really hard. And what I took away from that is it's important to find gratitude, even when we're having a hard time with another person. We don't know how long we have here in this world with them. And we don't want to waste a minute of it.
Life is very temporary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is a huge blessing.
So take that moment to express gratitude and to feel gratitude, even in that messy room. You know what? They're messy, but dang.
It's beautiful messy.
After you get frustrated, but
they will turn.
Yes.
They will turn when they hit 20 something.
Maybe.
I can remember my mom telling me, yeah, we were just waiting for you to become human again.
Right.
I guess the teenage years were really hard on my parents with us kids. So they said, yeah, we just waited for you to become human again. Oh my God.
That's funny. Well, not for nothing, but being a teenager is hard.
Never
all those hormones and all that changes, and going from a child to an adult, it is just flat hard. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, this has been wonderful, and I wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving holiday. I hope that it's a wonderful day for you, and maybe get some good Black Friday deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll be back next Monday. We'll talk again.
I can choose to be happy.
Take care,
Stacey.
Bye. You're welcome.
Bye, Jen.
Moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think.
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on linktree/cmhcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Moment by moment, it's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day, I pave the way